Hello there guys, welcome back to another video. Thanks as always for passing by the channel, much appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. Don't forget as well, please, to like and share the videos. A big shout out to everyone who's been getting involved so far. Thank you. You will notice I'm not on my usual table that I use for these videos because the other table's been nicked, so I'm having to make do with this one. I'm not a big fan of it, it's too low, but I'll make do for this video anyway. Alright, so UFC's back this weekend, UFC 259. This is a big card as well. Dana White has seriously outdone himself with this one. This could be the most stacked UFC card of all time. There is a lot of talent on show here, and credit to Dana White for getting it all organised. Boxing promoters should really look at this and take note, because we've seen some good but very lacklustre cards, you know, as of late in boxing, whereas the UFC just seems to get better and better and better, and this card in particular is loaded with talent. There are 15 fights overall going to be happening on this card, so it'll probably take me absolutely ages to get through every fight happening, and some fighters I'm not too knowledgeable about, so I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to go through the 5 main cards, which are the biggest ones happening. But I do want to have a quick shout out and a mention to Dominic Cruz, who's fighting on the prelims against Casey Kenny. Just wanted to mention it because I like Dominic Cruz and I think it will be a very fun fight, and I'm going to go for Dominic Cruz to win that one by decision. I like his style, I like him as a fighter. Best of luck to him, I hope he gets the win. So looking at the main card, I'm just diving straight in because I can't wait to talk about all this. We have got Thiago Santos versus Alexander Rakic, light heavyweight fight. Santos is 37 with a record of 21-8, and Rakic is 29 with a record of 13-2. Rakic is the bigger man, he has a reach advantage over Santos. This is an interesting fight because they have contrasting strengths. I think in terms of if they were standing and trading punches, I would favour Rakic, and I would definitely favour him in terms of grappling and wrestling ability. But Santos in terms of power, Santos's last fight was pretty impressive, despite the fact that he lost. But what that fight did show also was kind of how to beat him, you know, as his opponent wasn't able to take his power. His opponent was able to take his power, then land a takedown, which is what ended the fight in the end. I feel this fight is a classic case of puncher versus grappler. I think Rakic is probably the more talented of the two, although I do like Thiago Santos. But when it comes to power, you have to go with Thiago Santos because he has some insanely powerful punches in there, which could drop Rakic easily. I think we have seen Rakic put down before. I do feel though that if Rakic comes with a good game plan, that he could get a win. We've seen that when John Jones fought Santos, for example. People said that fight was boring, but at the end of the day, John was just very calculating in his game plan. He knew to stay out of Santos's reach. He knew, you know, to kind of rely on his kickboxing in order to just kind of keep him away and just score points. And also Thiago Santos, you know, he almost injured himself in that fight. I think he had problems with he tore his ACL, his shoulder, so he's kind of not been the same ever since them injuries. So overall I would say I would favour Rakic for this fight, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a Santos KO. But I am going to go Rakic to win by a TKO on the ground, maybe round 3 or 4. So 3 or 4 Rakic TKO. The next one we have got Islam Makhachev, hopefully I don't butcher their name, versus Drew Dober. Makhachev is 29 with a record of 18-1, and Drew Dober is 32 with a record of 23-9. Makhachev has definitely got a heightened reach advantage here. Makhachev is also undefeated in his last 5 fights. Again, this is another case of wrestler versus grappler. Makhachev has been out of the cage a while. I think he's not fought since like 2019, late 2019, something like that. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any ring rust there. Drew Dober could win this fight by KO. It's definitely possible, as we've seen Makhachev KO'd before by Martins, I think it was. And Drew Dober has got some power in that, in his striking. But I think Makhachev probably knows that, and that's going to be part of his game plan. He's going to do his best to he'll probably get Dober on the ground as much as he can, so he'll be attempting takedowns all throughout the night, almost like a kind of Khabib style really. Get him on the ground, tire him out, and then just try and work him down, and if he's not going to be able to get him out of there, the takedowns will score him enough points to win via decision. I've always had the view that a good grappler will beat a powerful puncher because they know how to make their opponents tire themselves, and that power almost goes out the window when you're on the floor. If you're on your back, you can't get the same amount of leverage to get the power land. But like I said, Drew has definitely got some, but I will lean towards Makhachev to get the win by decision. I don't think he'll fully get rid of him because I think Drew's quite tough. So yeah, I'm going to go Makhachev to get a victory by mostly from landing takedowns, so unanimous decision there. Next one is, this is fight of the night contender for me. Petr Yan versus Aljamain Sterling. This is for the bantamweight title. Petr Yan is 28 with a record of 15-1, and Sterling is 31 with a record of 19-3. This is why I love this fight. There's very little between these two. They are literally almost identical in weight and reach, so it'll be very interesting. I think this is a fantastic fight. They are so well matched. So well matched. I like Petr Yan. I know him because he sometimes trains out at Tiger Muay Thai out in Thailand, which I know a couple of people who have trained out there as well. And he just seems like a really humble guy, really, that classic kind of quiet, keeps himself to himself. But this fight is a really tough one to call because they're so very well matched. Both are undefeated in their past 5 fights. Both have a very impressive resume. I could maybe lean towards Sterling in terms of grappling ability. I'm not too sure if he'll be able to take Yan down, because Yan has got pretty good defence, and I don't think he'll be able to hold him down long enough to submit him. And if it becomes a fight where they just stand and trade punches, I have to lean towards Yan, because Yan has got very, very good striking ability, especially his boxing. I mean, look at him in his last fight, he looked very, very impressive. So Sterling is no mug though. I do think he could land a couple of takedowns in this fight. I'm just not sure how successful he'll be in that. Yan doesn't generally try too many takedowns himself, but he might try in this fight to try and level the playing field if Sterling lands some. But if I had to go with who I'm going to pick win, I'm going to go with Petr Yan on this one. I think he can set the pace of the fight, put the pressure on Sterling, and I think he can finish this fight with a KO. So I'm going Yan to actually get a KO, knockout, maybe TKO, a stoppage, 4th round, or by decision. Either way, I think Yan will win this fight, but I think 4th round stoppage, because I think he'll break Sterling down enough to get that in the end. Okay, on to the co-main event. Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson for the women's featherweight title. Nunes is 32 with a record of 20-4. Anderson is 31 with a record of 10-4. I think we've seen from the face-off that Anderson definitely has a heightened reach advantage, but I don't really think that will count much for here. And because Nunes is currently on like an 11-fight unbeaten run, which is, that's pretty impressive. Obviously, we know Nunes. She's, the GOAT, as they say, one of the greatest female fighters of all time of mixed martial arts. I would probably still lean towards Cyborg for that title, but if you had Nunes, I wouldn't really argue. For many fans, this is probably a foregone conclusion, this fight, given how dominant Nunes has been. But this is MMA, nothing's guaranteed. I do think that Nunes will set the pace for this fight for sure. She'll throw a lot more volume, way more punches than Anderson. Nunes' striking is amongst the best in the entire UFC, never mind just the female divisions. Plus, Nunes is also known for takedowns if she wants to finish a fight early. So I could see her attempting a few of those. Also, if you look at the resume as well, it's always good to see who's fought who. There are fighters, there are opponents that Anderson has lost to, which have then gone on to fight Nunes, and Nunes has literally destroyed them. So that kind of shows that there is a big difference in terms of levels to this fight. So not too much to talk about in this fight. I do think Nunes will win it very comfortably through knockout, probably early. So I'm just going to go with a 1st round KO for Nunes. I think she'll just start off strong, throw a lot of punches, land a takedown, and then just get her out of there. She'll get on top and just get rid of her. She's just that good. That good. Alright, now we have the main event, which is Jan Blachowicz against Israel Adesanya for the light heavyweight title. Israel Adesanya's debut at light heavyweight. Very interesting to see this. A long time coming, a lot of talk about this as well. Jan Blachowicz, who is 38 years old, he's got a record of 27-8. Israel Adesanya, who is 31 and he's undefeated, you know, he's got a 20-0 record. A win here would also make him a champ as well, which is, you know, another record set. Oh. It is interesting actually. I read something, is he coming up the light heavyweight division? He said he wasn't going to bulk up for this fight, which is a little bit strange. But he does have the, ironically, he does have the height and reach advantage. You know, he's 6'4". That's what makes him really interesting. I have to be honest, Blachowicz had kind of gone off my radar a bit after his loss to Thiago Santos. I wasn't paying much attention to his career. But he came back, he got that impressive victory over Rockhold. A couple of fights later, he got himself a belt. So credit where it's due. He has been on a good roll recently. We last saw Izzy in the cage against Paul Costa, which was a good performance, probably one of, if not his best. Israel can be very hit or miss though. Sometimes you can get an explosive finish. Sometimes his fights can be boring. You know, the Gastelum fight, for example, wasn't particularly exciting. And definitely the Yoel Romero fight, which was very dull. It depends on which version of Izzy turns up, really, I suppose. But as I say, we've never seen him at light heavyweight before, so this could be, you know, a kind of a third version of Izzy. So it will be good to see. Izzy is very tough to take down, so not many people try that. We could see a repeat of the Romero fight, which is kind of what worries me, because this is such a good card. I want every fight to just stand out. So if both come in cautionary, we could see that happen, and it might be a little bit of a letdown, but I hope not. And I don't think the other fights are going to... I think all other fights are going to be belters. I don't think any of them are really going to disappoint. I'd like Blachowicz to kind of close the distance and maybe put some pressure on Izzy, like really kind of bring it to him and not be afraid to engage. Because Izzy's not got like frightening power. He's not got like kind of devastatingly terrifying. But he is very skillful with his kickboxing and Muay Thai, which is something to look out for. And also, Izzy's very good at avoiding punches because he's fast. He will have a speed advantage over Blachowicz, and he could land counter punches, which could then potentially, you know, he could just do that and eventually get a decision win. And I don't think Izzy definitely hasn't got enough power to knock out Blachowicz for sure. It'll be can Blachowicz do some damage to Israel? Again, Blachowicz has been on a good roll recently. It's whether he can land, because Izzy's just that good at moving out the way. But to be honest, I do think this fight will go the distance, and I do think Adesanya will win by decision. I just think he'll be able to, if Blachowicz comes in fast and then maybe gasses out, we could see it kind of slow down. If Izzy sets the pace as well, he'll just be able to keep Blachowicz out of the way. So Israel Adesanya to win by decision, and then where he will go from there, we don't know. But overall, like I said, this is the most stacked UFC card we've seen in a long time, and I'm so buzzing. I can't wait to watch it. So my predicted winners on the main card are Israel Adesanya, Amanda Nunes, Peter Yan, Islam Makhachev, and Alexander Rakic. Oh, we got through it all. That's just made me more excited to watch this card, talking about all that. But thanks again for watching, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed the fight, and I will see you all soon. Peace.